Have you ever felt like your soul is being chipped away piece by piece? Like no matter how much you give, the world always asks for more. Your time, your energy, your peace, slowly drained by demands, expectations, and obligations that were never truly yours to carry? The Stoics understood this struggle well. Seneca once said, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it's right to be stingy." Think about it. How often do you sacrifice your well-being just to keep others happy? How many times have you ignored your own needs to meet the expectations of family, friends, or even society? If you're constantly putting yourself last, you're not living. You're merely existing. But here's the truth. Your life is yours alone. You weren't meant to be a servant to everyone's wants while neglecting your own peace. In this video, we'll uncover 5 things that silently drain your soul, and more importantly, how to reclaim them. Because the life you deserve isn't one of exhaustion, but one of strength, clarity, and inner freedom. Stay with me. This might be the reminder you didn't realize you needed. Let's begin. 1. Never take on responsibilities that aren't yours. Have you ever found yourself saying yes to something, only to regret it the moment the words left your mouth? Maybe it started with a small favor, a family member needing urgent help, a colleague asking for assistance, or a friend in a bind. You told yourself it was just a one-time thing, but before you knew it, that small favor had snowballed into a massive burden. You weren't just helping anymore, you were carrying the entire weight of the situation. It's a dangerous cycle. The more you say yes, the more people expect from you. The more you give, the less they appreciate it. Soon you find yourself overwhelmed, wondering how you became responsible for things that were never yours to begin with. Think of it like a ship at sea. A vessel is designed to carry a certain amount of cargo. Take on too much and it sinks. The same applies to you. If you keep loading yourself with responsibilities that don't belong to you, you will eventually break under the pressure. I once found myself in this exact situation. A relative called, asking for help with their child's birthday party. At first, I assumed they just needed advice. Maybe a recommendation for a good bakery or a fun theme. But as the days passed, my role grew. I found myself booking the venue, coordinating the food, managing invitations, and even handling decorations. Every time I tried to step back, I was met with a casual, "You're so much better at these things than me." By the time the party arrived, I was exhausted. And when the compliments rolled in about how well it all turned out, my relative smiled and took full credit. I mentioned how overwhelming it had been, hoping they'd understand. But instead, I was met with a dismissive, "Oh, come on, it was just one day." That's when it hit me. I'd taken on a responsibility that was never mine. Worse, I had allowed it to happen. The Stoics warn us about this trap. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The world will always try to place responsibilities on your shoulders, but it is up to you to decide what belongs to you and what doesn't. Yet saying no isn't easy, is it? Many of us feel obligated to help, afraid of disappointing others or being seen as selfish. But here's the truth. Every time you take on a responsibility that isn't yours, you're not just hurting yourself. You're enabling others to avoid their own duties. When you constantly step in to solve problems others should handle, you prevent them from growing. You teach them that you'll always be there to clean up the mess, and over time, they stop trying to carry their own weight. The Stoics believed in personal responsibility. Epictetus once said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." The same applies to responsibilities. If you find yourself burdened by obligations that aren't yours, it's because you allowed them to be placed upon you. You have control over what you accept, and you must learn to guard that control fiercely. So how do you break free? It starts with one simple but powerful question. Does this responsibility truly belong to me? If the answer is no, then let it go. Learning to say no isn't selfish. It's an act of self-preservation. Every time you refuse a burden that isn't yours, you are saying yes to your own peace, your own priorities, and your own well-being. You weren't put on this earth to be the fixer of everyone's problems while neglecting your own life. Of course, this doesn't mean you should never help others. Generosity and kindness are virtues. But they must come from a place of choice, not obligation. The key is balance. Help when you truly want to, not when you feel pressured. Give when it aligns with your values, not when it drains your soul. If you feel constantly exhausted, it's time to take back control. Set boundaries. Stop carrying what isn't yours to carry. And most importantly, remember that protecting your peace is your responsibility and yours alone. 2. Don't let others take your money and financial stability. Picture this. It's a peaceful morning. You're sitting by the window sipping your coffee, savoring a rare moment of calm. The world outside is still, and for once, your mind isn't racing with worries. But then your phone rings. A familiar name flashes on the screen. It could be a sibling, an old friend, or a distant relative. You pick up expecting a friendly conversation. Instead, you hear a familiar plea. "I hate to ask, but I really need a loan. Just this once." You hesitate. You want to help. After all, isn't that what good people do? You tell yourself it's fine. It's just this one time. But deep down, you already know the truth. Just this once rarely stops there. My friend David learned this the hard way. He was the person everyone turned to when they were in financial trouble. It started with a small loan to an old friend who had fallen on hard times. David, being kind-hearted, agreed, but the requests kept coming. One call was to cover rent, another to fix a broken car, then to pay off a bill. Each time the reason sounded urgent, and each time David couldn't bring himself to say no. But something changed. Every time his phone rang, instead of feeling happy to connect with a friend, he felt anxious. The conversations weren't about catching up. They were about money. And what hurt him most wasn't just the loss of cash, but the realization that these friends never even considered paying him back. No gratitude, no acknowledgement. Just the expectation that David would always be there to fix their problems. Here's what you need to understand. Your money isn't just paper. It's the result of your hard work, your sacrifices, your time. It represents the hours you spent working when you could have been with your family. It reflects the effort you put into building a better life for yourself. You're not a bottomless well, and you're certainly not a personal bank for people who refuse to manage their own finances. The Stoics understood the importance of stability and self-sufficiency. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And nothing disturbs the mind quite like financial stress, especially when it's caused by others taking advantage of your kindness. So how do you protect yourself? It starts with setting clear financial boundaries. Not every request deserves a yes. Not every problem is yours to fix. If you know that lending money will only encourage reckless behavior or that you'll never see it return, you must have the courage to refuse. It's not about being cold-hearted, it's about being wise. Think about it this way. If tomorrow you faced a financial crisis of your own, maybe a health emergency or an unexpected job loss, who would step up to help you? Would the same people who drained your resources rush to your aid, or would they suddenly become unreachable? The reality is that financial stability is one of the greatest foundations for a peaceful and happy life. When you allow others to constantly take from you, you're not just losing money, you're losing peace of mind, security, and control over your own future. The Stoics taught that we must live within our means and focus on what we can control. Epictetus warned against placing our well-being in the hands of others, and that includes financial well-being. If you want to live a life of true freedom, you cannot allow yourself to be weighed down by the financial burdens of others, especially when they are unwilling to take responsibility for their own choices. This doesn't mean you should never help anyone. Generosity is a virtue, but generosity must be intentional, not obligatory. Give only when it truly aligns with your values, when it does not put your own stability at risk, and when you are at peace with the possibility of never seeing that money again. Saying no isn't selfish. It's an act of self-preservation. It's a way of ensuring that your future remains in your control. The next time someone asks for money, don't just think about the short-term guilt of refusing. Think about the long-term cost of always saying yes. Because the truth is, the more you give without limits, the more people will expect. And soon your kindness turns into an unspoken obligation, one that slowly drains your financial security and emotional well-being. Remember this, Money is a tool to build a better life, not a resource to fill the endless needs of others. By maintaining strong financial boundaries, you not only reclaim your peace of mind, but you also allow yourself to fully enjoy the rewards of your hard work. You have the right to protect what you've built, and you have the right to say no. 3. Don't let yourself be dragged into family conflicts. Family is often seen as a place of love and support, a sanctuary from the chaos of the outside world. But sometimes family can be the very source of that chaos, pulling you into conflicts that have nothing to do with you. And before you even realize it, you're caught in the middle of a battle you never started. Imagine this. You're enjoying a peaceful morning, sipping your coffee, lost in the pages of a good book. Then your phone rings. It's a relative, their voice tense, their words rushed. You won't believe what your brother did. He never listens. You need to talk to him. Just like that, your peace is shattered. Suddenly, you're expected to mediate, to take sides, to fix a problem that isn't yours to solve. I once found myself in this exact situation. My uncle called me, frustrated over a long-standing property dispute with another uncle. I wasn't involved, yet I felt obligated to step in, thinking it was my duty to keep the family together. I listened to both sides, tried to reason with them, and attempted to broker a peace. But in the end, it didn't matter. One uncle accused me of favoritism, the other said I wasn't firm enough. Neither was satisfied, and all I had achieved was losing my own peace of mind. That's when I realized something important. Getting involved in family conflicts rarely resolves them. More often, you just become the scapegoat for both sides. The Stoics warned against being consumed by things outside of our control. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, you don't have to have an opinion on every event, nor do you have to carry every burden. This is especially true when it comes to family disputes. So how do you avoid being pulled in? By setting clear boundaries. You are not responsible for fixing the emotional struggles of others, even if they are family. When pressured to mediate, calmly but firmly say, I respect both of you, but this isn't something I should get involved in. At first, some may not understand. They may even be upset, but over time, they will learn to handle their own issues without relying on you as their emotional buffer. And most importantly, ask yourself, am I willing to sacrifice my peace and my precious time to play referee in a fight that isn't mine? Your time and energy are invaluable. Don't waste them getting caught in unnecessary conflicts. Instead, use them to enjoy the simple joys of life, a good book, a peaceful afternoon, meaningful conversations with people who bring you true peace. That is how you protect your soul. That is how you free yourself from the exhausting whirlwind of family drama. 4. Don't change yourself just to please others. Have you ever been told you should dress younger, or everyone's on social media now, you need to catch up? These comments might seem harmless, but beneath them lies an unspoken demand. Change so you can fit into someone else's expectations. Change in itself isn't bad. Growth is necessary. But when you alter who you are just to gain approval, you risk losing the most valuable thing you possess, your true self. I once knew a woman named Lisa. She was a thoughtful, traditional person who took pride in her simple way of life. But as her daughter climbed the corporate ladder in a fast-paced digital world, Lisa started hearing remarks like, "Mom, you're too slow. You should learn to use this app." Or, "You need to keep up with the times." At first, Lisa tried to adapt, believing that changing herself would strengthen her relationship with her daughter. She forced herself to use technology she didn't enjoy, to adopt habits that felt unnatural. But the more she tried to conform, the more exhausted she became. Doubt crept in. Was she outdated? Was she not enough? Here's the truth. Changing for your own growth is powerful. Changing just to fit into someone else's mold is a trap. Your values, your habits, your way of life. These are not relics of the past. They are the result of your experiences, your lessons, and the life you've worked hard to create. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Your happiness depends on living in alignment with your own values, not on others' opinions." The world will always have an idea of who you should be, but the only thing that matters is whether you are at peace with who you are. So how do you stand firm against the pressure to change? Ask yourself, Is this change truly right for me? Will it improve my life? Or am I only doing it to please someone else? If the answer is no, then don't be afraid to stand your ground. You can acknowledge others' perspectives with respect, but you don't have to shape yourself to fit their expectations. Those who truly love you will accept you as you are, imperfections and all. They won't try to mold you into someone you're not. You don't need to trade your peace, your identity, or your self-respect for approval. This is your life. Live it in a way that feels true to you, instead of trying to fit into someone else's version of who you should be. Stand strong in your values, because at the end of the day, self-respect is the most enduring strength you will ever have. 5. Don't put others' happiness above your own. How many times have you set aside your own desires just to keep others happy? How often have you sacrificed what you love to meet the expectations of family, friends, or society? Phrases like, "I'd be so disappointed if you don't do this," or "I really need your help, you're the only one I can count on," may seem innocent, but they carry an invisible weight, a weight that over time silently suffocates your freedom and happiness. Let me tell you about Daniel. He was the kind of person who always put others first. Whenever his younger brother needed help fixing his car, or a colleague asked him to finish their part of a project, Daniel dropped everything to assist. He skipped his favorite gym sessions, missed out on time with friends, and neglected the things that once brought him joy. At first, he believed this was his duty, that being reliable meant being available at all times. But over time, he noticed something. People had stopped asking if he even had the time to help. They simply assumed he would. His kindness had turned into an unspoken obligation, and with each sacrifice, Daniel didn't just feel drained, he lost his sense of fulfillment. Here's the truth. Happiness isn't something you can endlessly sacrifice to please others. When you constantly put everyone else first, they grow used to taking from you. They forget that you too need love, care, and rest. The Stoics remind us that happiness and peace are our own responsibilities. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "A man is happy when he lives in harmony with himself." If your days are spent constantly meeting the expectations of others while neglecting your own well-being, you are not truly living. You are simply existing for the sake of others. So how do you break free? By learning to say no without guilt. The next time someone asks you to sacrifice your peace and happiness for them, pause and ask yourself, is this something I truly want to do, or am I just afraid of disappointing them? If I say yes, will I resent it later? Am I giving from a place of love or from a sense of obligation? If your answer reveals that you are only agreeing out of guilt or pressure, then it's time to set a boundary. Saying no isn't selfish, it's an act of self-respect. Start by prioritizing yourself. Identify what brings you joy and meaning. Spend time on the things you love. Surround yourself with people who genuinely care about you, not just what you can do for them. And don't hesitate to walk away from relationships that only take without giving anything in return. Instead of living to please everyone else, focus on building a life that makes you proud and fulfilled. Whether your time on this earth is long or short, it is yours to live. Don't let anyone take away your peace of mind. Care for yourself as you care for others, because your peace is priceless. Protect it at all costs, and there you have it. 5 things that silently drain your soul, and more importantly, how to take back your peace, energy, and happiness. Life is too short to be spent carrying burdens that aren't yours, chasing approval that doesn't matter, or sacrificing yourself for expectations that will never be satisfied. Imagine waking up tomorrow, free from unnecessary conflicts, unbothered by the weight of others' demands. Picture a life where you prioritize yourself, where your time is spent on things that truly bring you joy, and where your energy is invested in relationships that uplift you. That kind of life isn't just possible, it's within your power to create. The choice is yours. But change doesn't happen overnight. It starts with one decision, one boundary, one act of self-respect. And sometimes the hardest part is giving yourself permission to put yourself first. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that prioritizing ourselves is selfish. But the truth is, you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you keep giving while neglecting yourself, eventually you'll have nothing left. So let me ask you, what's one thing you're ready to stop sacrificing for others? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe it's your time, your dreams, or simply your right to say no. Whatever it is, putting it into words is the first step toward reclaiming it. And if you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights on mastering your mind, setting boundaries, and protecting your peace. Every small step you take toward reclaiming your energy matters, and I'll be here to guide you through it. Your happiness is yours to nurture. Your life is yours to live, fully, intentionally, and without apology. Stay strong, stay grounded, and remember, your peace is priceless. Protect it at all costs. I'll see you in the next video.